Berhalter, one of the, or let's say the only great thing about Berhalter is he was very good at convincing players who...
His shoe game was pretty fire.
His shoe game was pretty fire. So.
Welcome back to Yanks Abroad. We have a very exciting one as the roster for the Nations League just dropped yesterday, or you guys will be seeing this 2 days ago. But we have competitive matches, something we haven't had yet under Poch. So it's very exciting to see who we brought up. Not that it's too different, but we've had a ton of injuries. So we're going to talk through
some new stuff.
There's some new things. We're going to talk through the full roster. We're going to talk through some dual national news that has been coming out lately and some quotes from Poch, as well as an Americans Abroad update and a power rankings of the current squad. Starting with the squad for these matches against Jamaica. Any overall thoughts before we go into detail?
Chris Richards is back.
Huge.
That's very, very exciting.
Yep.
Feel like this starting back four, and we'll get to our starting 11s, feels like first time we're going to see them together because, in my opinion, Mark McKenzie's getting in there now.
Sure.
So, obviously, we don't have Des quite yet. But to see these four together is exciting. I really hope we get to see the four that we want. And then the other big thought, obviously, we know the forwards issue, but the other big thought of mine that is exciting is Tanner Tessman in the original squad. Even though Tyler Adams is back and fit, he's played multiple matches, Tanner Tessman is the other six along with Cardoso, who we'll talk about is in excellent form. So, really exciting to see the first competitive games, and these matches matter. These starting 11s are not going to be like a flip-flop. We're going to probably see fairly similar ones. We're playing Jamaica twice, a two-leg, quarterfinal or whatever it is, and so it's exciting.
It's very exciting. I think the first place to start is the exclusions from last roster.
Sure.
So what has changed for him? Horvath, Fossey, and Lund all miss out. I think in a squad where we see four goalkeepers, I think that could potentially be the end of Ethan Horvath. For the U.S. men's national team?
Yeah, I guess it's a little surprising to see Diego Cochin in there. I know we both are big fans, but
he doesn't
he's young.
really play.
Right.
He's very young, and he gets in over Horvath. By the way, if Horvath is dead, Gaga Slonina might as well be the most dead person in the world.
He got benched by Barnsley.
Yeah, okay.
He's done with...
Yeah, so he's just cooked.
I guess they kind of knew that. He was decent for the first 5-6 matches for Barnsley and then went in a bit of a bad spell of form. And obviously, those League One and Championship clubs, for those who don't know, if you start playing poorly, anybody, they're, going from League One down to League Two is you're one league away from not even being in professional football. Right. So it's they don't wait at all to take, that's why it's hard to be a young player in those leagues. You don't really get a chance. The second you stop playing well, you're out.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to Slonina.
So,
but yeah.
Some interesting decisions on the goalkeepers because you bring four, and if you're not in the four, you're pretty much out. And then the other thing for me, which I found pretty interesting, was the defenders. You only bring 7 defenders in a squad in a setup where we're going to play 4 defenders every single match. Only bringing 7 says a lot to me. I think it shows all those, specifically fullbacks, all those fringe fullbacks seem to not be in his plans. It's going to be Jedi every time.
Yeah.
And then Scally's the backup, and when Des is back, all those fringe guys, it pretty much seems like they're done. And he even went as far as to say, in today's footballing system, a lot of these players who play center back or even potentially in the midfield can play left back. He even mentioned Tim Ream, who played left back for Charlotte in the MLS playoffs. He's if we need be, Tim Ream can even do a job at left back. So if he's willing to do that, it seems like those guys are...
the thing that's shocking to me is why bring Miles Robinson? You have 4 center backs that you're going to play over him, right? You have Trusty, Chris Richards, Tim Ream, and Mark McKenzie. I think we can both agree all 4 of those are playing over Miles Robinson.
Yeah.
So you might as well bring some other fullback. I agree. I think we both thought Fossey was pretty awful in all 4 matches we saw him playing in 2024. And then... Lund really was unimpressive.
Yeah.
I thought he brought nothing to the table whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I just think it's weird, though. What does Miles Robinson bring you? You know what Miles Robinson is. It's almost like we had to get an MLS player into the team.
It's interesting because what does this mean for Cameron Carter-Vickers?
He's still injured. So he made his debut. He came back and played a few minutes for against Leipzig. Did not play for Celtic on the weekend. He's still getting back to full fitness. Okay. I think Carter-Vickers...
Because when I saw he played in the Champions League, I thought he was back
the last
and then was
13,
left
14
out.
minutes, and then they're just getting him back to full fitness.
That makes more sense.
If
fit, do you think he gets in over Robinson?
Over Robinson, for sure.
Okay.
He's probably over Trusty and probably over Trusty. He's probably the 4th center back right now. But Trusty's another guy who if you're going to play like when Dest is back, if for some reason Robinson was hurt, you play Trusty at that left back role, and then in possession, that's kind of 3 at the back anyway, and Dest slots in.
Yeah.
I also think he thinks Yunus Musa can do a roll at right back. 100%. Weston McKennie can do a roll at right back.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he was saying. Right. Is like it's not. There's no point if need be. I have players that I'd rather have in the squad to play out of position than have these backup wingbacks, which I think is a pretty strong statement by Poch. And
100%.
Then,
and it's also he's playing Jamaica twice, right? I think if we're playing England twice,
sure,
you probably bring more defenders. You probably don't bring
that's
Brandon
fair.
Vasquez. Yeah. Like I think it's just based off of the opponent a little bit. That's got to be part of the inclusion.
And I think, it is, as you said, it's strong that Tanner Tessman, who a lot of people, so he got the late call-up due to injury, and then a lot of people actually didn't think he impressed that much. And the fact that he gets essentially the real call-up with Adams coming back to fitness, I think is another strong show from Poch, and good, obviously, for Tessman as we're big
And
fans.
he's also been playing quite well for Lyon. He's playing in the Europa League very, very consistently and playing quite well for them there. He's an important player for one of the biggest clubs in Europe in terms of name and likeness. So
we covered Tanner Tessman's performance, specifically, Will, on the channel. So if you want to go look at that, we covered Weah, Tessman, and Cardoso last week on the show. But yeah, I think the midfield looks very strong, and you don't even include an Adams or a Reyna.
I mean, no Reyna is crazy, but like looking at that midfield, I mean, I feel pretty confident in almost every single one of those players to do a role in a starting job or coming off the bench.
So Aiden Morris, I'm surprised I just thought he was not good at all.
He was really not good for the U.S. men's national team, but he's been very good for Borough. Since the last international break, he's maybe been their most impressive player. He's been very solid in midfield. I think he needs to impress in this camp if he's going to get the call up in March.
So it's like, you didn't impress, but you're playing so well for your club. Like, we'll give him.
And he said that he's trying to reward players who are playing for their club, playing 100%. Well for their club, and that's why I think you're seeing Tessman as well. He's playing well for Lyon. Maybe he didn't impress in a few minutes here and there, and I'd really like to see Tessman get a start for the U.S. men's national team.
Do you think it'll happen?
Well, we'll get to our starting 11s, but I do.
My last thing is, like, when Adams is fighting people at midfield, that's when I feel like he's well and truly back. So I'm a little surprised that he did not honestly get the call up.
Bournemouth have been very, very good since he came back.
Very good. He's been key for them. And then we should just move to the forwards, where if people are confused,
as you should be a little bit, even with the injuries.
Ballow's injured. Haji Wright, unfortunately, just picked up an injury.
In the 90th minute in that match.
Sargent is injured. So if you're confused at all of what is going on in the forward lineup, that is why it looks the way it does. Do you want to talk about why Brandon Vasquez was included? I mean, we don't really know.
We don't know. I mean, you can kind of make an argument for Cowell, and I mean, even you thought Zendejas played decently.
I thought he brought a spark, and he's playing well for club.
And Cowell has been a pretty highly rated player who can kind of play everywhere. He can even play as a 10. So I kind of get Cowell. Vasquez is a bit confusing. He comes off the bench for Monterrey most weeks. I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess they were looking for a striker. I think Tim Weah is more likely to play.
Gotta bring a second out and out striker. I guess.
I think Tim Weah is more likely to play as that striker if Pepe were to get hurt.
Yeah.
But I mean, the main thing to look at here is this is Ricardo Pepe's chance to go score 3 or 4 goals in the next 2 games against Jamaica. By the
way, if there was this is a made. I mean, you can't ask for a better opportunity for Ricardo Pepe.
And I think he'll take it. He's in ridiculous form.
Ridiculous form.
He was in the team of the week for Eredivisie this week. He scored 2 goals and an assist. Yeah. His stats this year, he has 6 goals and 1 assist and 3 starts in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you say he comes on at the end and scores 2 goals against Nac Breda.
But PSV is shit pumping people every single week.
And it's, I mean, Tillman is on another level right now in the Champions League.
It's insane. I'm excited to watch him with the full squad because, as I talked about on the Bleacher Report stream, and unfortunately you didn't get to watch that match, you saw obviously he was really, really bad in that Mexico match. But as I said in the stream, I think it was a product of how poor we were and kind of the overall B team. So he'll be in the A team. He better be in the A team for this match. So that's the squad. You will obviously have seen it on your screen.
We obviously, just for those who don't know, midfielder-wise, Luca De La Torre is out. He's injured as well. And then there was one other injury. Oh, we already talked about Gio Reyna.
Yeah, Gio and
is still injured. So those 2 guys, I mean, this could be the end of Luca De La Torre. Like this, like Aiden Morris probably should take the Luca De La Torre role or Busio, like the two of them.
Yeah.
And Busio's one that just doesn't get talked about a lot, but he started in Poch's first match in charge. I think, and Busio's been very good in the Serie A this year. This is a player who we're going to see a lot of in the next 18 months, and somebody who could very easily be in the starting 11 come World Cup 2026.
Yeah. All right. Let's starting 11.
You want me to go first, or you want to go first? I think we have this. Do we have the same back five? Okay, my back five.
No,
Turner,
we do.
Turner and goal.
I just think, by the way, it wasn't like an argument, but we got into a lengthy discussion about Tim Ream, and he's been included in every single squad since going to the MLS. I'm
just saying, like, we're still 18
honestly,
months
all I
away.
want is you to tell me that I was right.
No, but you want to know what you are right about?
What?
Martinelli.
He sucks.
I am so fucking fed up with him.
Yeah.
This is we're not talking Premier League on this podcast, but he scored a great goal, and the finishing is still great when he gets the opportunity, but the indecision,
He is
like,
atrocious.
ever since he lost confidence, 12 months ago, he's just never even gotten close to back, and, he's just been
Honestly,
terrible.
I'll take that over the Ream thing. Because, yes,
Well,
it was
first of all, the bet
always
was,
a
I don't
longer
think
discussion.
Ream will be in the World
It was
Cup.
always a longer discussion, so I will parade.
And I think he's important right now as a segue.
Sure.
And I
I'll parade
think
that win if he's in the World Cup
He'll
squad.
start one of these two matches, no doubt.
Sure. All right. Yeah. Back five is obviously Turner, McKenzie, Scally, Richards, and Anthony.
Yeah,
which is a great five.
You may not see
Okay.
Richards start the first
Let me actually just backtrack that
for the U.S.
record.
It's a great five.
That did not come out of my mouth. It's solid for us.
It is. It's really solid. Scally is solid. Anthony is in great form. I don't think Chris Richards will start the first match because he has no match fitness.
Sure.
So I think you'll see McKenzie and Ream.
Okay.
And then Richards play like 30 minutes, and then hopefully he plays 60 or 70 in the next
I
match.
like that.
I actually think it's really cool that he got called up because it also is going to help him get back to match fitness for Crystal Palace, right? So he came back on the weekend and sat on the bench and didn't play because he is still lacking match fitness.
And by the way, does Palace need him? Maxence Lacroix is one of the worst center backs.
He's one of
I've
those
ever
guys
seen.
where you buy the Bundesliga. And I did an interesting Twitter thread on this a year ago that Arteta has never bought a player from the Bundesliga, and he only has ever bought one player who even has ever played in the Bundesliga because that I believe that he thinks that it's the hardest league to transition into the Premier League from. So I just thought that's an interesting
We
one.
may have had the best business ever from the getting Son.
Van de Ven.
Or Van de Ven. Both of them, actually.
Yeah, but they need Richards bad.
Badly.
They're leaking.
Lacroix, that was a little off the course, but Lacroix sucks.
Yeah. So, I think Richards, it'll be important for him to get, like, if he can get 90 minutes total from these two matches, then he can get back to Crystal Palace with match fitness, get back into the 11, and then obviously a crucial part until our March call.
Yeah, also to the point I was making on the defenders earlier, like, Trusty can play left back, has played left back before, and Chris Richards has played right center back.
He's played right back, too.
Yeah.
At Bayern, he played right back.
So, I think what Poch is saying is, like, we don't need these fringe guys when we have actually pretty versatile center backs in the squad.
I wouldn't be shocked to see Chris Richards play some right back during this. I mean, if Scally can't play 290 minutes because he plays every week or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our preferred back five.
Yeah.
So the midfield is where it gets interesting.
Very.
I think there's two ways I look at this. I think if Tillman starts as a 10,
Yes.
then you're looking at like a Cardoso Tessman or Cardoso Busio midfield.
Really?
If Tillman plays as a winger, then I think you're looking at like a Cardoso Musa McKennie
I just
midfield.
don't see a way where with the form that those three are in, that it's not a Pepe Pulisic way.
I totally agree.
So,
but I think
I don't even see it as an option of Tillman playing the wing.
But he's really been playing well in the Champions League as more of a winger. So
it's tough because Way is in the best form potentially of his entire career right now. Pulisic, we obviously have talked about extensively, and you touched on Pepe's form currently. So how do you leave any of those three out? Tillman also in the best form of his life. And then Weston McKennie.
He's playing great too.
I love that he's the start of the graphic. He's playing absolutely fantastic.
100%.
So where does that leave you? By the way, I was about to say something so ridiculous. We're running into a C tier, B tier Foden issue in the England squad, whereas like, how do we get all of our best players in the squad? Does someone have to go to the bench? Or
that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to play your players in their best positions. Right. And I mean, I always say that with Pulisic on the left, and like he's been great for the U.S. on the left, but he's in the greatest form of his career.
And Way is playing great off the left. So I'm actually curious to see.
Well, that's why I think Pulisic could play right wing and Tillman could play left wing, and then you get McKennie into the squad as like you kind of have two Well, the problem is he plays a double pivot. So like McKennie plays.
Can he play that? I think he can. I think he's worth trying.
He can with
against
Cardoso.
Jamaica.
I don't think he can with Tessman.
Sure. Well, also what's important to note is Weah, shout out our savior, is serving the rest of his suspension in leg 1.
Ooh,
yes. So
I forgot about that.
So we will see the front three potentially.
I think Tillman plays off the left.
Sure.
And I think
Yeah.
both. Oh.
So match 1, we could see that. I should have mentioned that from the start.
It's gonna hit like absolute shit when Brandon Aaronson's in the starting lineup off the wing.
He was really bad again in the squad.
I know he's playing so well for Leeds.
I don't care.
I don't care either. This is how I feel about Josh Sargent.
Anyways,
How about the tweet I sent you that Trump lost?
Yes.
The
So
last time
ridiculous.
Sargent scored
Yeah.
was Trump's first term.
All right, let's finish the midfield. Who do you think the midfield is? Match 1, there's no way.
Then match 1, no Weah. I'm gonna go Cardoso, Busio, McKennie.
Okay. I like that. I would go probably Cardoso, Musa, McKennie,
Yeah.
and then Tillman.
I think it's going to be
Pulisic,
one of those. You
Pepe.
need an athletic. With Cardoso and McKennie, you need either a Musa or Busio.
Yeah.
You need an athletic player
Right.
who can cover space.
Yeah, and then
and
I think leg 2, it probably makes less sense to go more attacking.
It just depends on the score.
Under the assumption that we win the first match.
How's your assuming been going with the U.S. men's national team last year?
Not great.
It'll be interesting because the second match, we're 3-0 up going in, then you probably play a defensive lineup. If we're down a goal, you probably do see Tillman in midfield.
Yeah, and then, all right, so that's your midfield, and then we agree that it's probably Tillman off the left, Pepe through the middle, and Pulisic on the right.
Which I think will be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Tillman with Pepe works really, really well.
Sure.
I just really think the two of them could play well together.
Yeah.
I do like Tillman off the left too because he's going to want to come in and play as more in the half spaces, and Anthony Robinson can fly up on the wings.
Yeah, but Pulisic does the same thing off the left. He
Yeah,
loves
but
coming
Pulisic
centrally
also
too.
does like receiving out wide. I don't think Tillman is as comfortable
Not
receiving
as much.
totally wide.
He talked about in a recent interview about how much he's loved playing the 10 for Milan. Like I think he's relishing the opportunity of picking it up in those those half spaces centrally, and I think he is just going to continue doing that, which almost makes me want to play him off the left to give Jedi that space.
I mean, the one thing for sure is if you're going to play Pulisic and Tillman, you can't play Aronson because he just wants to be in those spaces as well.
If Aronson plays, I'll be like I'd rather.
I mean,
I'd rather Zendejas come on and be the.
That's fine. I mean, they're both so irrelevant.
I mean, it was literally 5 minutes, but I liked what Zendejas brought against Mexico.
I mean, I think Andy Morris might start just because Pochettino loved him in the last. I mean, he didn't play well, but he
played
him.
really
bad. Cardoso is playing some of the best. I mean, he's playing the best of his career right now. He has to be in the. Okay. He has to be the 6, even though it's a double pivot. He has to be the defensive side.
You mean
of the pivot.
future Tottenham player?
The future potential Tottenham.
All right. Should we do an Americans Abroad update?
Yeah, let's do it.
So that's our starting 11. I think I talked about this. Yes, last Americans Abroad update, I had a record for you about the Aronson brothers scoring within like 24 hours in 2 different
What brothers
leagues.
did something now?
9 Americans played in the same day in the Champions League, which is a new record for America.
On the same day?
On the same day.
Should I try and guess them? You have them all written down?
I do.
Okay.
Do you want to guess them?
Let's see if I can.
Sure.
All on the same day.
All on the same day.
Okay.
9 U.S.
So we must have just gotten lucky that they all played Champions League football on the same day.
I mean, yeah, you got to get a little lucky to break records, right?
McKennie.
I mean, that should give away a lot, obviously.
Yeah, McKennie and Weah.
Sure.
Pulisic.
Yes.
Tillman and Pepe.
Yes.
That's 5. Musa.
There you go. I thought you were going to forget him when you didn't
6.
do him with Pulisic.
Yeah, I did forget him for a second. Okay, no one else in this squad plays in the Champions League. Oh, Cameron Carter-Vickers and Trusty is 8.
Yep. You should know this because you brought it up to me.
That he played in the Champions League?
You made a prediction that came true.
I made a prediction that came true? I'm a ball knower?
Apparently. Apparently not, actually, now.
I made a prediction that came true. I make so many of those. Wow.
Do you give up?
You want to give me a league that he plays in?
That would give it away.
So he plays in
You either have to
the French league.
You either have to give up or I'll give you 1 more minute.
Oh, boy. Can you give me a position?
No.
It'll give it away?
Just because you brought it up and it came true, and anything I say will just obviously ring for you.
I give up.
Cole Campbell made a substitute
fuck
appearance for
me.
Dortmund. You literally said you were like super excited because you were like he may even get a sub appearance in the Champions League. And then he literally got a sub appearance in the Champions League. And I was like, my co-host knows ball.
Yeah.
And then
apparently not.
He
should have been called up instead of fucking Brandon Vasquez.
You make too many good predictions that they all get.
They do get jumbled up in there. It's a madhouse up in there.
But all right. Yeah. So I forgot what we were doing. So those were the 9 that all appeared in the same day. Very cool. On that day, Tillman had a goal and 2 assists, being another record, being the first ever U.S. men's national team player with 3 goal involvements in one Champions League game.
That's my Tillman. That's our Tillman.
And then Pulisic got the assist on the opening goal in Milan's huge win over Real Madrid. Those were the headliners from those 9 that played on that day. And then over the weekend...
Pretty good headliners.
Great. Over the weekend, Weah continued his great form with his 3rd goal in 4 matches in Juve's 2-0 win. Pepe scored a goal and had an assist for PSV. Cade Cal got his 5th goal of the season for Guadalajara. Paxton Aronson scored again, making it 2 weeks in a row. And Haji scored again and then hurt his ankle and got stretchered off, as we talked about. And Tyler Adams is very back. Not back enough to be in the squad, but back enough to be getting in fights, as he loves doing. Playing important minutes for a Bournemouth side that is potentially the surprise other than Forest, even though they lost 3-1. Yeah, the surprise.
Fulham's
of
a
the Premier
point
League
off of
season.
3rd.
Yeah, there's a lot of people points off top 4 spots, just seemingly not Tottenham. But yeah.
Or Manchester United. So
sure. I guess I'll take some win in that. And Arsenal's not even close to the title. So we're all just losing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel bad for Haji because this was obviously it's Pepe's big chance, but it
this
feels
is
like
exactly
they
what
would
we
have
talked
each
about
gotten
last
one
week.
start type of thing, and it's definitely a bummer because, I mean, he's in incredible form. I mean, I was going to save this for later, but he's 4th in the championship if you combine XG and XA per 90 minutes, 4th in the championship, and that would just, it's not nothing. That's pretty insane. In that league where it's like pretty rough and tough, and Coventry just fired Mark Robbins, which was
There's also a lot of
insane,
players playing. It's a big league.
Yeah, it's a big league. It's a massive
being
league.
4th in it, it's like...
And he 4 goals and an assist in his last 5 matches. He scores crucial goals. It's funny. I was reading an article from like a local Coventry newspaper about him, and it's like half the fans apparently think he's trash and then scores like goals out of nowhere, and they admit that the goals are great, but like he's trash the rest of the game. And half the fans are like, he is the most important player we've had since Gyökeres, who was there before him, the striker before him. So,
by the way, where else are you getting coverage where we're diving so deep? Reading local Coventry coverage.
Well, it's so hard to, like, some of these guys play for teams that aren't covered by...
I know. You have to go deep to... That's why it's going to be so easy in 20 years when we do this podcast, when all of our best players are playing for Chelsea, Arsenal, and Dortmund.
Well, it's like Mark McKenzie. Like, I was trying to figure out how he's been playing, and nobody who speaks English cares about Toulouse. So I'm like opening local Toulouse newspapers.
And just hitting translate?
Yeah, and hitting translate and reading, kind of the...
I speak fluent French if you ever need to send something to me.
That's good to know.
Yep.
All right. Dual nationals.
Yes.
We want to talk a little bit about dual nationals. If you don't know, Berhalter, one of the, or let's say the only great thing about Berhalter is he was very good at convincing players who...
His shoe game was pretty fire.
His shoe game was pretty fire. So, he wore kind of nice gear, honestly, in general.
No, I'll give him that.
He was very good at convincing players to choose the U.S. when they were dual nationals. Serginho Dest, Yunus Musa, the list kind of... Balogun, of course. Yeah. Players who are crucial to us now. So that was something people were worried about. And with Pochettino, it was kind of an odd one. We're like, oh, maybe he won't be as good. Well, it's Pochettino, so that probably helps, even if he's not as good at convincing
Why do
them.
you think that... Is it because it's like someone who's not American trying to convince someone on why they should come play for America? Why do you think people... Because, like, if I'm a player... It's kind of like if you are... Comparing this to college football, it's like if you are from California and the USC coach, who's not as big, comes to recruit you, but then Nick Saban, like, what would ever make people think that having the coach, the pedigree of Pochettino, would have a struggle getting dual national? I feel like it's a more attractive...
Well, I think it's two things. I think, number one, in the U.S., the idea of, like, scouting and convincing somebody to sign is a lot more common than it is over there, right? Like, they're not used to doing that. Like, if you're Arsenal, like, it's the opportunity to be in the academy at Arsenal. It's as big as anywhere else, unless you're
saying Poch isn't exposed to that. Like,
correct.
It's more... No, got it. Okay.
And second, I would think, my thought is, like, let's say Jose Mourinho was the coach. I don't think Mourinho's going to some 19-year-old's home and being like, it's like, you don't want to play for me? Fuck you. That's kind of how I think that would be the word.
But I don't think we ever thought...
I don't think
Pochettino
like
had pride that needed to be
No,
swallowed
I don't
or
think so.
something
But
like
I think,
that.
you know, if your Berhalter, like, this is probably...
But aren't there also other big dual nats for bigger nations?
I mean, a lot of the biggest ones are like choosing to play for your African nation
Right, or
for
France. Yeah.
France or England
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. So I think those are less
But, like,
convincing necessary.
Right. But it happened. It's not like just between US and
No, but it's also I think it's a big thing is like for example, Eddie Nketiah was one where people forever thought he was going to play for Ghana because even if he got called up to the England national team, like Harry Kane is there, so it's like he's never going to get the chance. But to someone like him, it's like now he can say he has one cap for England. Even if he never gets another one, he has a cap for England rather than having to go play AFCON in the middle of every year. Like there's kind of just like
Speaking of, you see what African national side got stuck in the airport?
yeah, that was our last international break.
Yeah, I know. That just brought like
It was Nigeria.
That's insane.
I believe was it. I don't want to speak out of turn here. I want to say it was
Canceled.
Kenya or Liberia.
Yeah, canceled.
That the president is the reason. The president basically held them captive in an airport of that country so that they would be tired for their soccer match.
Yeah, like it's just
I mean,
insane.
but that is the kind of passion that we need here in the United States.
it is.
Maybe a little less illegally, but
Right.
that's the kind of passion for the sport that we need.
It's crazy that in today's day and age something like that can truly happen.
It's wild.
Anyways.
Yeah, so dual nationals. Back to what we were talking about. There's big news this week. Obviously, people were very excited that Austin Jones, who is a Dutch-U.S. dual national who's been playing for the PSV youth side, he has like 43 goals and 8 assists in the last year or something for their under-17s, has been featuring for the Netherlands under-17, is now being called up to the U.S. under-17. And so it's important for those who don't understand that he's not now a guaranteed U.S. player. He is not a guaranteed U.S. player until he makes a competitive appearance for the men's national team, but he is willing to give it a chance to play for us. On the flip side of things, if you were to look at Balogun's entire youth career, he never played for a U.S. youth squad, played for England up until the U21s, became the second all-time U21 goal scorer, I believe, for England, or the second or third. And Kenny is the first, then it's Alan Shearer, then I believe Balogun's up there. And never got an England call-up. Berhalter convinced him to play for the U.S. So it's important to take everything with the understanding that this doesn't mean anything necessarily, but it's good that we're going out and doing those things.
It's good, especially because it shows how, like, we're not just aggressively attacking people who would directly affect. Like, these are the smaller wins that need to be important. It is a big win if you're in it, but to some casuals, it's like, why do we care that this guy who is playing for our U17s and not even tied to us matter? But, like, putting importance in these systematic, like, changes, I think is extremely important.
It's also important because you can show pathway. So a big thing with academies in soccer is like showing your youth the pathway to going from a U16 to a U18 to a U21 to a first team player. How do I get there? And so you don't have a chance to show them that if they don't come play for your youth team. So like you get them to the U17s, you say, okay, you're going to make 2 starts here. You're going to represent us at the U17 World Cup this summer. And then, you know, their next step is you'll represent us at the U19 World Cup in a year. And then the next step is you'll play for the U23s and then so on and so forth.
Yeah, Olympic. Yeah. So
So you can kind of show a player that if you choose us, these are the players in your way. If you choose the Netherlands, these are the players in your way. So
that's our saddest yet best negotiation tactic, like by a landslide.
for sure. And it's like, obviously in this scenario, like US versus Netherlands, it's a big deal. But even like, for those who don't, like there was a big deal this year with a 16-year-old at Arsenal who went and signed for Manchester United because apparently he liked the pathway there better. Because Manchester United, although they may be a bigger club in some groups than Arsenal, he seemed to think that his pathway to the top is better. So ideally, we're eventually as big a country in terms of soccer, but we can offer different positions, different pathways. And so just to talk about some other...
By the way, also the most American name, literally, of all time.
It's with a Y, Austin.
Even better.
It is. But on the other side of that, I think it was Aiden Stokes, the Red Bulls young goalkeeper in their academy who's been representing the American U.S., is now getting called up to the England under-17. So it goes both ways,
But
and these guys will probably...
That's a perfect example of, like, the England pathway for a young goalkeeper actually looks pretty exciting. Like, you have Pickford, who's on his... And then none of those young guys have, like, shown that they're the clear number 2 and going to 100%
Right, like even James
over.
Trafford hasn't even gotten an England national call-up. I
Like,
think he got one, but he hasn't played.
And all those
Playing for
backups
the
are starting
under-21s.
to age, like, who were originally younger.
Like Ramsdale, who everyone thought would take
Johnston,
over.
Henderson, all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, the dual nat is an interesting game, but I think it doesn't go unnoticed that that's a big get for us.
Sure.
And especially it's nice to see Pochettino hitting the ground running.
For sure.
I mean,
and
he
he's
has a
doing
team around him, obviously, but I think it's important.
And he's doing it in positions that the U.S. needs. So we're trying to, I don't know if you know about Arnie Chase, the young Japanese player who plays for Stuttgart. He has played in the Champions League for them this year.
Arnie Chase is an American Japanese.
He's good. Center back, a position we obviously need.
That would be electric.
He has played 500 Bundesliga minutes this year, 200 Champions League minutes this year.
Wow.
He was not called up to the Japan national team this break. Hasn't been yet, so he's still an opportunity for a dual national. They're looking at Nathaniel Brown of Frankfurt, a left back. Positions that we need. And then, of course, Diego Luna and Luca Kogliosho, who is a huge name who's being scouted by Juventus, by Bayern Munich, who's at Burnley right now, who's an Italian-Canadian American triple nat. So those are the positions we're trying to go out and get. We're not going to get, look at our midfield. That's not where we need to focus. Obviously, we don't have the best midfield in the world, but it would be a waste to kind of be going for, there's not a huge area for them to come in. But these types of positions are where we're looking to make it happen. And, we're fighting with Japan's a pretty interesting
pretty serious
one.
nation.
Yeah. And then, Nathaniel Brown's playing for the German under-21s. He's not far off
well,
the
that's
German
been our
first
thing.
team.
I feel like when we were growing up, we pretty much had the German C team. As our national.
Well, because all of their dads were stationed in Germany.
No, I know. I'm saying if these dual nats, it feels like it's less about I can't cut it for the German side, for the Dutch side. Yeah. It's just maybe the U.S. men's national team is a more attractive prospect than it used to be. Jermaine Jones, Julian, those guys were never getting
Kyle
into
Beckerman.
the Germany squad, so it was just kind of their only choice.
No,
but these guys, as you said, the pathway is not as clear, but these guys could make it if things go right, if they progress the correct way for these bigger nations, and they're choosing to go with us. So that's a good thing.
100%, and hopefully we're going to get some of these guys in by the March break. If you can get, Arnie Chase would be a really, really big one. People are very excited about him. And then Diego Luna or Kogliosho to have one more
Diego
winger.
Luna has been a discussion for so long.
It's just one of those where the MLS people are like, hey, he's got 21 goal contributions this year. Okay, great. I like Diego Luna a lot. I think he's going to be a very good player. I don't think I'm going to cry if he doesn't choose us.
Agreed.
Luca Kogliosho, on the other end, is one where I think he's really, really talented, but he's not quite doing it at the top level yet.
Yeah.
So is he going to make a big impact in 2026? I'm not sure, but the fact that Bayern Munich and Juventus and the biggest clubs in Europe are attracted by him, that's attractive.
Yeah. The only problem with Luca Kogliosho is that's as Italian as it gets. That's no Austin Jones.
It's not Austin Jones, no.
That's
But we got Serginho Dest.
True.
That's
Very
pretty
true.
good. Malik Tillman's another one that we got to play for us. So.
Yeah.
All right. What does that leave us with? Power rankings? Okay. Power rankings. So this keeps in mind recent form, injury, yada, yada, yada. So guys like Chris Richards are not in the power rankings, even though I think they're a top 10 U.S. men's national team player.
That's a very important caveat.
Of course. Number one is Pulisic. An assist at the Bernabeu, a 3-1 win. He has got 7 goals and 4 assists in 15 matches. Milan's most important player.
You know what is so funny is he was in such good form that the fact that he's dropped off just a touch, I see comments about him and it's just so funny. It's almost nice to have someone that is that polarizing and that good that the second he's not a 10 out of 10 performer every match, people are starting to question.
Of course. And when you're an American, you immediately get that on you. Malik Tillman, second. I wanted to put him first, but Pulisic deserves to be first.
Sure.
You already mentioned it. 2 assists and a goal in the Champions League match.
Insane.
He's just been incredible for PSV and in every competition, every match.
I need to get that kit ASAP.
Yeah. Third, Anthony Robinson. He had a massive assist in the 98th minute for Fulham to beat Brentford.
Which I wasn't sure if I
Monday.
should cover this week because we covered it at the end.
And has Fulham are 1 point off third place. And he's a huge part of it. He is one of the best left backs in the Premier League. We're waiting for him to thrive for the U.S. men's national team. Yeah. But for a club,
at some point we'll stop having to have this discussion.
Believe. Fourth, Tim Weah, 3 goals and an assist in his last 5 matches. Really, really playing well for Thiago Motta. Yeah. Exciting to see him, and it should be a great opportunity for him in this second match against Jamaica.
By the way, someone scoring 3 goals in their last 4 games for Juventus and not being in the top 3, I feel like speaks volumes.
And, I mean, the fact that Johnny Cardoso is fifth, who has been Betis' most important player, arguably, had a big assist against Celta in that 2-2 match. He was the man of the match. As we covered last week, if you didn't get to watch it, we covered his match against Atletico Madrid, man of the match, in a 1-0 win over them. Literally was incredible. Go check that video out right now. Sixth, Ricardo Pepi, golden assist on the weekend. As I mentioned, he was in the Eredivisie Team of the Week, and in 3 starts in the league, 6 goals and 1 assist.
Don't care.
Biggest opportunity for any. If he plays well in these 2 matches, will you change your mind on Ricardo Pepi? He's 21 years old.
I don't die on Hills. He is yet to be good for the U.S. men's national team. As soon as he starts playing well, it's kind of like I've been very consistent with Jedi. I acknowledge how good he is with, and everyone yells at me because they don't watch close enough, and it's just like, oh, Anthony's so good in the Premier League. Let's just talk about him like he's amazing for the U.S. men's national team. He's not.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
7, Tanner Tessman. Just think he's been really good for Lyon in Europe. And
I like it.
I think he's been great. I would have had Haji much higher, but the ankle injury and the fact that we probably won't see him for a little while.
Yeah, it takes him off.
Put him at 8th, but 4 goals.
You kept him on.
Yeah, fourth goal and
fourth
goal and an assist in the last 5 games. Just been incredible. 9th, Weston McKennie, who's just been very solid, playing week in and week out for Thiago Motta. And to round it out, I put Aiden Morris at 10. He's been really solid for
I'm surprised you didn't put Mark McKenzie.
Mark McKenzie almost got in here. I actually had him in originally because I didn't have Haji in there, and then I took him out. But there's always room to get in there. McKenzie was probably the most borderline player on here. Yeah, Busio I kind of wanted to sneak in there, and that was really it. But a very solid 10. I mean, potentially all but 2, maybe 1 even, could be starting for us.
Yeah.
Come Thursday. So 2 matches. We've got Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I believe.
Last time we talked, it wasn't announced, but maybe it was.
I believe both are 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday and Monday, wherever you are at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Get there 15 minutes earlier at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time. You're going to load up Yanks Abroad on YouTube. We're going to be live streaming both matches, our commentary, our shit talking. We'll probably have our lay of the day to put out there.
Which is hit a lot when we do that.
Yes, we are pretty fire at, so make sure you're there in time to get that bet in. And then, of course, we will have post-match commentary for both matches coming to you live on Bleacher Report right after the match ends, and if it's too late for you then, you can catch it the next morning on our YouTube page. Lots of good content coming, huge matches.
And if Commanders-Eagles is a great Thursday night matchup, but the announcers are not great. So if you want to, on the TV, you get the football game, you get us for the commentary to keep up with how the U.S. is doing. That seems like a good combo to combat the little soccer football crossover that we have.
And we could even talk Commanders-Eagles with you as well. If you're interested, let us know in the comments. We have 2 TVs. We get the Commanders-Eagles. I promise you, we have more energy than Al Michaels. I promise you. So you get a little bit of everything here. But yes, we'll be focused on the U.S. men's national team Thursday and Monday. Yes, there are football games on, but we know ball. So don't you worry about that.
And Monday is... the Cowboys are playing. Nobody wants to watch Cooper Rush. So, yeah, lock in with us on those streams. They're usually a good time. We'll do our best to stay positive.
How dumb is the U.S. men's national team that these 2 games are going up against football?
I mean, what's
their choice? Do they have
any
say?
I doubt they have any say. And competing against one game versus a Saturday or a Sunday feels like a good decision.
Feels like Friday, Tuesday would have hit like crack.
Friday would have been crack. But if it's Friday through Sunday, I don't get to stream it. So it worked out perfectly that I'm here Thursday and Monday.
You're right. We'll see you guys Thursday, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the home of the lead up to the 2026 World Cup where the U.S. men's national team will be hosting under Mauricio Pochettino.